Welcome to CLIC Connect. I'm your host, Craig Sullivan. I'd like to welcome a very good friend and a special guest, Mr. Rod Apodaca with CBRE Hotels. Rod, how are you, my friend?
Great. Good morning, Craig. Nice to see you again, as always. Hope you're doing well.
I am. Thank you. So let's talk about the Southern California hotel market. What are you seeing out there with deals and discounts right now? That's got to be something in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, especially Southern California. There's an expectation, I think, not only here, but across the country for huge discounts and huge opportunities that everyone hopes are forthcoming. We've had nationally a handful of transactions. There have been discounts, but as you look at the deals that CBRE has put together, and this is not a plug for us, it just happens that it's the product type. The discounts in generally are 10% or less. In one particular case, one could argue that it's about a 5% discount. The reason for that is there's really probably a couple types of assets that are out there in the market today, and those are those that are known as durable, meaning that prior to COVID and maybe even partially during COVID, due to their location, they continue to either perform well or were either strong performers pre-COVID. ADR numbers were very strong, and they're in locations or markets that once we start coming out of this time frame, they're going to be leaders immediately back in their marketplace.
Very good.
Other hotels that have sold, again, the small handful, some of them have been strategic buys. For those particular buyers, there was a deal in Nashville where that buyer owned a large tract of land across the street. It was just a natural opportunity for them to pick up the property. They did. So it's interesting if you look at what's transferred in Southern California, again, because people are looking for these discounts, about 90% of the transactions, maybe no surprise, occurred between January and March. There were a few transactions that happened post March or April. One of those being the L'Hermitage in Beverly Hills, and that was an auction deal. Right. And the stalking horse bidder, to their benefit or not, were really maybe the sole bidder on that deal and took it down for $100 million. And then just recently, the deal in Newport Beach, the Marriott, which CBRE also did. I don't think those hotels perceive any type of major discounts. There was some value add there, but generally speaking, there haven't been a whole bunch of transactions, and B, owners, I think, are sitting a little bit tight. They've been able to replenish some of their liquidity issues, thankfully, due to Southern California being a drive-to location and destination for staycations. And we saw very, very strong occupancy and ADR numbers on the weekends. And then midweek, I think to everyone's pleasure, that the midweek numbers were very strong occupancies and ADRs. And I think those numbers help a lot of owners replenish their cash buckets to help them, work themselves throughout the year. Jump in anytime with a question, because I may just go on.
Well, it's funny. I was just going to say, I was talking to Stephen Medell over at Pacifica, and they were running 90% occupancy in the Central Coast all summer. And that has not fallen off. And I was one of the ones out there predicted it wouldn't, because people like me, like you, empty nesters, you know what? I don't want to be there on the weekend with everybody else. I'll go up, midweek right now. It's off season, and we'll, take care of everything then and have a nice trip with the wife or girlfriend.
Sure.
So, and I'm not implying both. You've got a wife, I've got a girlfriend. Okay, let me be clear about that. So let's get into financing. We're always chasing money. We've got some great community banks in California that understand hotels, and they do a lot of financing. You've also got, a lot of community banks that are, they want a relationship borrower. And CMBS is still a mess. They're still trying to figure which way's up. We've got a ton of hotels in San Francisco that aren't going to reopen till next year for a plethora of reasons. So what are you seeing on the finance side?
Let's start with the easier of the two. On the construction side, construction financing, there is some interest, very low activity, however, that we've seen. I have a number of construction deals I'm working on now. Unfortunately, those are balance sheet developers where they do not need construction financing to close on their deals. And they're looking at transactions that, hey, my doors aren't going to open until 2023 or 2024, and hopefully, this is all behind us. On the acquisition and refi, there is a large number, which continues to grow, of lenders, both private, institutional, that insurance companies that are feeding themselves back into the marketplace. I think the larger the deal, and maybe this is an obvious statement, but the larger the deal and the more confidence in the borrower or the sponsor and the quality of the asset,
right,
you're going to see, which might be a surprise for some, you are going to see some competition on some of these larger lenders trying to get those deals, because there just aren't a lot of great opportunities right now for them to place their capital on hotel deals. The smaller size properties, call it 25 million or less, it's a little bit more challenging. The mid-market, we're seeing LTVs in the 50% range.
Wow.
And interest rates, there is a range, but I'm just trying to go midpoints. You're probably talking somewhere in the mid sixes. Be interest only and amortization is being offered. And again, it all circles back to the sponsor and the asset itself of where you end up at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct on that. It's all going to be about the sponsor right now. And SBA is still doing a great job out there. But, you started a group, you're training people, and they're coming in on the, lower end select service, mom and pop, and SBA loans are playing a major part there. How's that been? How's it been dealing with the SBA lenders? I mean, I'm hearing good reports from a lot of people. You're in the mix firsthand, so you're helping out your team. What's that been like on the SBA
well,
side?
The unfortunate answer for you is that I really don't have an answer, and that's because the deals we've been looking at have been all cash.
Okay.
Right. So we just did a deal, knock on wood, we close next week, where it was buy a hotel motel to convert to homeless. And that deal went relatively smooth, but again, it's federal money. And so the question of it closing or funding, it really is not a problem. It's more about the functionality of the asset. And let me just touch on that topic for a second. It's interesting. The state and the Fed put out money that had to be spent this year. That money has been, I think, used up. And as of right now, we're anticipating not seeing that come back again in 2021. Although there's all kinds of arguments why it should, but as of right now, we don't anticipate it coming back out. There still is a need for those type of conversion product. What we are seeing are a number of groups that are, quote, 1031 that were in that program and are going to close this year and now are looking for replacement assets. And those groups, at least the ones that we've been working with, are looking for very low LTVs, loan to values, and they've been working with their relationship lenders. And I mean, we're talking 20-30% just to cover and remove the potential for debt boot in the exchange. So they're not looking for huge debt levels. And they've been very successful in finding lenders who are willing to participate with them.
Perfect. For those few of you out there that don't know Rod, you should really get to know him. He has gone through more market analysis than any other broker out there. He is a wealth of information. He can help you get your asset sold or help you with an acquisition of a new one. Rod, it's time for your shameless plug. So how can everybody get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I'm with CBRE in the Newport Beach office. You can reach me either at Rod Apodaca, and I think Craig can correct me if I'm wrong, but my name that I see is also showing up on the screen.
It is.
Yeah, so it's Rod with a period, Apodaca at CBRE.com. That's probably the easiest way to reach me. Or if you have a pencil, 949-725-8540 is my office line, and you can reach me there or leave me a message, and I get back to everybody. So I spend a lot of time talking with owners about the market, not just obviously trying to get listings or sales, but a lot of concept and strategic conversations. So if you just have something you want to discuss, feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to share as much knowledge as I can.
Perfect. Thank you, Rod. I appreciate you joining us today. And I also appreciate all of you for joining us today. Hey, when you see this video on YouTube, ring the bell, subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a hand with that. Also, I want to remind everybody, we need to help each other. share your knowledge, be kind, and now go out there and be amazing.